get your fix. Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this glorious Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. Now, I was going to do this yesterday, but I forgot. So shout out to Dynamite Entertainment and Y4 for that lovely intro. We know the show is only going to get better from here. We got other things working up in this glorious mind of mine to add to the show and stuff like that to make it more intriguing and whatnot. So, hey, shout out to them. That was huge. I've been waiting on doing that for quite some time, getting that a part of the show. Now we got to figure some other things out. Hey, but it's a learning process. It takes one step at a time. You can't just jump forward and expect it to work out. So that's what we're kind of dealing with. But hey, awesome. All right. We had Monday Night Football last night. Okay. Week 2 is officially over. The Lions ultimately lost to the Green Bay Packers, and which we'll get to. But that Monday night mega cast, I watched Peyton Manning again and Eli, and hey, it was a great show. A lot better the second time around. They were actually in their own basements at this time. Looked a lot more comfortable in their own atmosphere, I guess. So somewhere where they are more used to than going into that ESPN facility and sitting there in a room that not really sure how things are going to work out, okay? They figured it out. Week 2 was awesome for these guys. I can't wait to continue to watch their growth the next 3 years and on every Monday night, or at least 10 games every season for the next 3 years. So that'll be fun. Pat McAfee was on there last night. That was a great one. He dropped a couple swear words. I was really, curious on how that is all going to turn out with ESPN, even because him and ESPN don't necessarily get along the greatest. But it is what it is. I thought he did really well on there. Asked some really nice questions. Gronk was on there. I thought that was a really fun piece. You got to learn that Gronk doesn't watch film. That probably, that blows your mind right there, right then and there. He just has to go ask Tom Brady, hey, what looks good? All right, sounds good. I'll do that. And we'll score touchdowns. He scored, over 100 in his career, 90 off one specific pass. There was a lot of good things that happened last night. So let's get to it. Are you ready to get your fix? That Packers game, though, last night was really, really fun to watch, okay? They beat the Lions, or the Green Bay Packers ended up beating the Lions 35-17 here. Rodgers played a really nice game. This offense for the Green Bay Packers looked really, really solid compared to that Week 1 loss to the Saints 38-3. Okay, Rodgers came out there, only had 12 passes in the first half in Week 1, where Week 2 he actually did exceptionally well, okay? During that Manning cast, we learned that, the Lions were running the Tampa 2 or 2 deep safeties, okay? Run the fucking ball. See what you got. See if the Lions are going to be willing to put more people into the box, send more blitz packages and stuff like that. And really, Rodgers, they wanted to see if Rodgers was going to, test him, throw the ball every once in a while, and he did. He did really well doing that. 22 of 27 with 255 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, did really, really well, okay? That's considering his Week 1 performance, where I believe he only threw 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns and had 2 picks as well. So huge improvement. Then you look at Aaron Jones, didn't do that great in Week 1 against the Saints, okay? This week, awesome, spectacular performance, okay? 17 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown on that. He also had 6 catches, 48 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Okay, this man's the real deal. One of those touches on that touch pass that, real close to the end zone was 5 yards out. He ran into the left side of the end zone, so that was huge for the Green Bay Packers. But overall, hey, this game was a battle. Okay, a couple things that a couple takeaways I have is, that Packers defense needs some work. Okay, they need some serious work. They were out Zadarius Smith, so that is a huge one. But their corners have to play a lot better football. Obviously, Jair Alexander is going to continue to play top-notch football like he always does year in and year out. Obviously, he's a really good one. But, Kevin King has to pick it up. Darnell Savage has to pick it up. I think Adrian Amos is still there. He has to pick it up. So they need linebackers to, really amp it up a lot. They should never got rid of Blake Martinez. That's one person I think that the Green Bay Packers should have kept. He's been the leading tackler for the New York Giants the last 2 seasons. Hopefully, probably, or more than likely, we'll do it again this season. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But Green Bay, that defense, you need to figure it out a little bit more. Now, they came out that second half and did a lot better job. Had an interception, had a Jared Goff fumbled his snap where the Green Bay Packers ended up picking it up. Roquan Smith looked really solid. Now you added Zadarius Smith back into that mix, and I think you got a really, really good defensive line there, and that'll be consistent throughout the whole season. But other than that, linebackers are a big one that Green Bay is missing. I think they're going to, dabble maybe in free agency, or they're just going to stick with what they got, and hopefully these guys continue to improve week to week. But it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes, because if this defense continues to play how they have the past 2 weeks, which more than likely won't happen because it is still early. Like I said early on, you don't know what a team actually is, what a team is actually capable of doing until about week 4, week 5, somewhere around there, and then you can actually really dive deeper into your team and knowing exactly or close to what kind of record you're going to end up with. What player is going to go off for your team? What's going to be the worst player of your team? How are the penalties going to turn out? How are the turnovers going to turn out? Stuff like that. It's a lot easier to see that after about week 5. So it's going to be interesting. Okay, Green Bay has a decent enough schedule going forward, so they're going to have to play, obviously the Bears twice, the Lions one more time, the Vikings twice, which is later in the season. So they got some tough matchups coming up, not just the NFC North, but it's going to be interesting because that defense continues, like I said, to play that way. They could be in for a long ride this season. They'll probably lose more than 3 games. But you never know, because you got the last year's MVP Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. So if that offense just gets hot and stays hot, it's going to be hard to stop them, okay? Even if their defense is still, allowing other teams to put up points, if your team is putting up points, you're also taking more time off the clock, which, doesn't allow the other team to have that much time on offense. And I think it worked out in their favor last night. Now, for the Lions, they looked okay. Okay, their offense looked just fine, especially against that Green Bay Packers defense, which is looking really weak this year. They'll probably pick it up, but that offense looks solid. Jared Goff looked good, other than his fumble and his interception. He just has to clean a couple things up in those areas, and he'll be just fine. T.J. Hawkinson looked really, really well, and he has the entire year. Okay, week 1 he looked good. Week 2 he looked good. I can't remember off the top of my head how many yards. I think he had 67 or 68 yards. I believe he had a touchdown or 2. So that's that's good to know that you have one of the top tight ends in the NFL, probably a top 10 tight end if I were to say, or if I were to pick. He's a very, very solid guy to have, and I think he's going to be Jared Goff's favorite target going forward. And another favorite target of Jared Goff's that I noticed last night was Quintez Cephas. Okay, this guy made a really nice catch during the game, and T.J. Hawkinson made a really, really nice touchdown grab over the shoulder. Beautiful throw by Jared Goff. So I'm not taking that away from him, but Quintez Cephas did really, really well. Receiving wise, he was the second most targeted receiver, or that's what it showed. I think he had 4 catches, 60 some yards, and then I can't remember if he had the touchdown or if it was Swift, but we're almost 24 hours away from that game right now, so it's kind of tough to go back in my mind and figure it out as I go. But those 2 guys really stood out. Now, that running back room, I thought they were going to go more with Jamal Williams this game, being that he did come home to Green Bay to play his ex-team, the team that he said didn't want him. If you haven't watched that press conference or that press release where they asked Jamal Williams, what's your thoughts on, going into Green Bay and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And he pretty much just said, it's they broke up with me, and go watch it. It's all over Twitter. I'm sure Jamal Williams is tagged in it, or the Lions are tagged in it, so you'll find it. If not, I can show you some other time, but right now I'm not going to. But they got to figure out what they're going to do going forward. Obviously, DeAndre Swift is going to be a starter. He's looking like a dog. He's a really nice running back. Jamal Williams, okay, he's going to be a number 2 solid guy. He's never, at least in my eyes, I don't think he's going to be a starter in the NFL, just because, when he comes off the bench, He's there to either A, catch a pass, or B, like make some stellar blocks on the line, or he's going to run up the middle real quick and make things happen. But he is an explosive running back. I think he's a lot like Aaron Jones, just without the explosiveness I guess he is really explosive. Okay, I'm just saying not as much explosiveness as Aaron Jones has, I think, or is capable of showing, which Aaron Jones has to pick it up a little bit more. Which obviously is going to come in time. Him and Rodgers and Devontae Adams never played in the preseason, so week 1 they were thinking that's the week 4 in the preseason that they used to have. Now they don't. We're moving into a 17-year season or 17-game season, so that could have affected the week 1 performance and whatnot. But I think people need to relax because the Saints came out here, lost. They got beat bad by the Carolina Panthers, so I think Green Bay is looking up. Not 100% though. Their defense needs some work, and I think their defense is going to be one of the main reasons we're going to see Green Bay struggle throughout the year. And I believe this week they play the San Francisco 49ers in San Fran on Sunday night. So it's a Sunday night primetime game. Rodgers should be good, obviously, but so should that 49ers team. They are lacking. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the show, actually right at the end, or I guess close to the end of the show, about the 49ers and what they got. But Green Bay is going against the 49ers, a good team, a team that is also struggling offensively, defensively, but still can shock a lot of people. So we'll see where it goes from there. I think Green Bay has a lot to look forward to. Just got to clean some things up defensively, and they'll be just fine. So let's move over to that Browns team, all right? We talked about this briefly. We even chuckled when OBJ was listed as... he's not playing, basically, for Sunday. And, they go into the game against the Texans. Jarvis Landry ends up getting hurt. We briefly talked about it. He was listed as week to week, where we're sure. And now it has actually been officially, the news has officially broke that the Browns have placed wide receiver Jarvis Landry on injured reserve with an MCL sprain. So that's big news, okay? He had a knee injury. That's all we basically knew. Weren't sure how bad it was. Was it ACL, MCL? Did he break something? Was it just a sprain? It turns out it's just a sprain, so this is huge. Okay, he's probably going to miss, I'd say, 3-4 weeks, something like that, maybe a little bit more. Nothing too drastic, because this is just something you just got to rest up, make sure you're 100% before you go out there again. So this is big news. Now, on the other hand, the Browns are out wide receivers. Okay, they still have some dogs out there, but at the same time, OBJ is still questionable. Is he coming back this week? You'd think so with Jarvis Landry being put on IR. Browns still doing really, really well, winning week 2, losing barely in week 1, a game that they should have won. Do you roll? You continue to roll without Odell Beckham until he's actually 100% as well, or do you risk it, bring him in? Maybe he goes off, has himself a day, rest is history. It's going to be interesting to see what the Browns do on that situation or on that front, because I think you play the Bears this week, a team that hasn't been that solid as of late, which we'll get to a piece of the Bears here in a little bit. Actually, we can bring him into this segment as well. But you're looking at a Bears team, okay? Andy Dalton, who's week to week as well. He's out with a knee injury. They're not really sure. I think all the x-rays and stuff were negative and stuff like that. He's dealing with injury. So you're going to have Justin Fields most likely out there if Andy Dalton is unable to play, because Matt Nagy did come in and say, hey, listen, or he had the PR team, I guess, come out with a statement and say, listen, Andy Dalton is still our starting quarterback if, he is ready to go. And, he should be. Okay, you gotta give the guy a little bit more than what you gave, Mitch Trubisky last year, where you gave Trubisky 3 games, and you gave Nick Foles, a handful of games, and he brought Mitchell back and stuff. It didn't really work out. You want to give Andy a time to really, build that chemistry with that team and get rolling fast. And with this injury, who knows? Maybe Justin Fields, his time has come. Apparently, he's been turning a lot of heads in training camp in practice and stuff like that. So that's huge. Coaching staff, scouting wise, defensive, offensive coordinators, stuff like that. That's huge. Okay, so who knows how that's going to all transpire? But the Browns play the Bears. If Justin Fields starts, in my eyes, it's so hard because he's a rookie quarterback. He's only played a handful of snaps last game. You're really not for sure what you're going to see out of a whole, 4-quarter, 60-minute game. Or what is it, 48-minute game or something like that. You don't really know 100%, or no, it is 60, 15. So, I mean, it's tough. Like, they probably won't, if I were to guess, probably won't have Odell go out there, but they'll more than likely have Odell, do that pregame thing that he did week 1. Hey, go test it out, see if you feel right. If you don't, all right, you won't play. If you do, if our coaching staff feels like it's the right thing to do, we'll probably put you in the game. So it's going to be one of those situations just kind of watch down the road. I haven't seen any news yet about it. So, like I said, we'll just wait and see who's going to get that nod, if Odell gets the nod or if he doesn't. And that's going to be a big game between the Browns, who have a really good defense that's looking pretty solid, against the Bears defense, too, that's looking really good. Okay, they're just coming off a win as well. So this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out with Andy Dalton, being listed as week to week. Jarvis Landry now on IR with an MCL sprain and whatnot. So that's huge. Another guy that's going to be placed on, or I guess not really on IR yet, he probably will be, or he'd probably just be week to week, is Carson Wentz. Okay, this dude went out against the Los Angeles Rams this week and literally just had no regard for his body, like whatsoever. Okay, the dude was just trying to be a magician out there, making a lot of risky plays, especially for his own fucking body, which just blew my mind. Apparently, Carson Wentz was also seen in a boot and riding around in a scooter at the facility today, at the Colts facility. So, who knows how bad that is. You can, do with that piece of information what you will, but that seems to be like some big news. Okay, he sprained both of his ankles, maybe one's way worse than the other one. He's probably wearing a boot because it's that bad. You're not supposed to move it. Like, dude, just elevate it, ice, ibuprofen, whatever you got to do, figure it out and rest it. It's going to be interesting to see if he plays this week. I haven't really checked to see who the Colts play yet. I'll probably do that tomorrow. But if not, I think you're in trouble. Okay, because Jacob Eason came in last week against the Rams and just got absolutely tore up. Okay, Aaron Donald got in his face. Jalen Ramsey was flying around everywhere, making a play on the ball whenever he could, however he could. And, I mean, we just got to all take in mind that this isn't the fucking preseason no more. Okay, you're not playing second, third string, fourth string guys. You're playing number one superstar, the best defensive tackle in the game, Aaron Donald, probably in NFL history, or right up there, I'd say. Then one of the best corners in all of football today, Jalen Ramsey. It's going to be tough, especially when you haven't played much of NFL football. Okay, you haven't played snaps or that many snaps against, solid number one guys. And, I mean, if they go out there with Eason, they could be in trouble, but at the same time, you got Jonathan Taylor, you got Naheem Hines, you got Michael Pittman Jr., who's looking like a dog. You got T.Y. Hilton, who has this, figure. I think he's out actually right now with an injury. And then, Pascal Siakam, Paris Campbell. So they got weapons, Mo Alley Cox, Jack Doyle. So they got people. Right now it's just time to go out there and figure out, hey, Carson, dude, quit fucking taking risks. You just had, ankle surgery foot surgery right before the season started. You were actually supposed to be out a lot longer than expected, which is now looking like he might be out that time regardless, because he doesn't have any regard for his body. He just goes out there and fucking wants to make every play and get injured. And that's not good for your team. That's not good for, the organization, not good, for yourself. So I think he'll clean it up. It's just right now he's going to be week to week, I think. And hopefully the sprain doesn't affect him going forward throughout the season or his career, because this man he's a wild one. He's a maniac out there. So another guy that's dealing with an injury around the league is Big Ben. This I just seen today. He's dealing with a pectoral injury, and Mike Tomlin says that it will affect his preparation ability, and we better be ready to be adjustable. Okay, sounds good. Well, at first when you hear that statement, your mind's racing. Like, what? Like, is he actually hurt? Like, what? You want to roll with Mason Rudolph right now? Like, I bet Steelers fans are just like, what the? No, please, Like, we need Big Ben because he's our heart and soul. Mason Rudolph is just a bum. He's not that great. Josh Dobbs could be a guy. Probably not. Dwayne Haskins hasn't been the guy. We need Big Ben. But then hold on. You look at what they're playing with this week. If Big Ben's probably just fine. Okay, he's probably just dealing with a little soreness after the game. But if it's that sore, they are playing the Bengals this week. Okay? A team that the Steelers probably should beat, other than, the fact that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are on the same page. They weren't really this week against the Bears. But, if they play hard enough and good enough, they could do something. I doubt it. So this gives the Pittsburgh Steelers to say, hey, Big Ben has a little, boo-boo, literally on his boob. Let's sit him against the Bengals. Let's put Mason Rudolph in there. Let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice. We got enough wins last year. We should be able to do the same thing this year. Who knows? I don't know what you want to do with this information, but at the same time, Big Ben is hurt, or injured, excuse me. I don't think this is going to be a huge factor at all in his season this year or for the Steelers organization. I think this is more of them, or more of Mike Tomlin just being like, hey, look, he has a pec injury. Who knows what the hell we're going to do? So just be ready. Like, we got to be ready. Just in case this is something serious that really shouldn't be serious, we got to be on our toes. That's basically what he's saying. We just got to be ready for all possible scenarios and instances. So that's a big one, especially for the Steelers team who, went into the playoffs last year, coming into this year. Now they are 2-0, so they're looking good. They got, I believe, the Broncos. No, excuse me, they're not in their division, but I think the Ravens lost against the Raiders. So I think as of right now, the Steelers might be the only undefeated team in that division, if I'm correct, because they beat the Bills. They come out this week, and they lose to the Raiders. Excuse me, they're 1-1, so there's no undefeated team in there. I apologize. So we'll see what happens here in Pittsburgh. I think there's really nothing to worry about other than that offense needs to get hot, and they need to figure out a way to get hot early and often, because that defense is going to be good. Regardless of what other teams try to do, it sucked that they had to lose T.J. Watt with a groin injury. I think he's going to be just fine. He's going to be playing against the Bengals this week. I think he just pulled something. He needed to rest it, and it is what it is. But Big Ben hurt. Another injury we're going to talk about here is Tyrod Taylor. The Texans actually just placed him on injured reserve, okay? This was expected, obviously. He's supposed to miss at least 3 weeks. That's the minimum. He could miss 4 or 5 weeks, but that's a big one. He pulled his hamstring. This is an injury that we've seen wide receivers deal with in the past. They're going to miss at least 4 weeks. It's something that happens week 3. After week 3 is done, they're like, oh, we'll see. Maybe he'll come back week 4, limited playing. He's not going to play. Okay, week 4 he's out. Then he comes back week 5 and they're all right. This is an injury that happens quite a bit. Okay, it's nothing to be worried about or anything like that, because this is the Texans, or the Houston Texans team that, before the season even started, nobody was really high on, especially with Deshaun Watson's situation. They got rid of, J.J. Watt over the offseason, new head coach, new coaching staff in general, new, general manager, and stuff like that. So this is something that we just got to kind of deal with. Davis Mills and the team, I think the Texans actually have a lower chance of success with Davis Mills at quarterback right now. He is a rookie. He's not one of the high talented or super talented rookies that we've seen come in the league, but who knows? Maybe he could turn out to be a Tom Brady, something like that, who was drafted way the fuck down there and comes out of nowhere and just blows up. So, Tyrod, this sucks for Tyrod Taylor in general, because he's had just, such an unfortunate NFL career. Just not unfortunate, a very unlucky NFL career. Browns, Bills, he just gets replaced, he gets injured, just shipped around, but he's a very, very good quarterback, a very solid one. He's going to win ball games, and he's going to bring his A game 100% of the time, okay, every day. And it just sucks the Texans had to lose them because they looked like they were on the roll, on the same page. That chemistry was good. They looked really, really nice against the Cleveland Browns, I thought. They looked good week 1, obviously. So, sucks that they have to have Tyrod miss at least 3, probably 4 or 5 weeks, but it is what it is. We'll see what Davis Mills has. He's a Stanford quarterback. Should bring a lot of smarts to that organization and whatnot. So, bummer for Tyrod and the Houston Texans, but I mean, what are you going to do? They play this Thursday against Carolina Panthers. It's going to be a tough game. Carolina's probably going to come in there, punch them in the mouth, and walk out with a win. I just think that's very, very possible, and the Carolina could start their season 3-0, and that would be huge because the Buccaneers are 2-0. The Bucs have to win this week then. Can't remember who they play off the top of my head, but it's going to be a fun one. I think Texans are going to lose this week regardless. But with Tyrod, I think if Tyrod were into that game or were to play in this game, it would be a lot closer than what it probably will be. Moving away from the injuries, all right, let's talk, more uppity. I guess not really uppity because we're talking about the 49ers. Now, they're dealing with some injuries in the secondary, very poorly. We talked about that earlier, but we're going to talk about their running back, okay, the running back room. They lose Raheem Mostert to a season-ending ACL injury, okay? Then they got Trey Sermon. They lose him to concussion. Then Elijah Mitchell. They have him who had just balled out week 1, stepped up real nice for Raheem Mostert. Lose him to a knee injury or something like that. I think it was a knee injury. They haven't really released the statement yet, I don't believe, or I haven't really seen it. So what the hell are they going to do? Are they going to use their number 4 guy? No. It's like the Ravens. I mean, you lose Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Justice Hill, and you got to go pick up a couple guys. Well, the 49ers decided to bring in 2 veteran running backs for a visit. Duke Johnson, okay, I believe he played with the Cleveland Browns. He also had a stint with the Houston Texans, and they also brought in Lamar Miller, which I'm pumped to see. He had a very unfortunate ending to his most recent career. I guess he's been a free agent now for I think the better half. I think just this year, maybe some last year, but those are 2 big names. Okay, Adrian Peterson's still in the market. Frank Gore's still in the market. So I don't understand why they wouldn't go with Frank Gore, being that he was a former 49er back in the day. That'd be interesting to see. Maybe he's just doesn't have it anymore, which I doubt because the dude can. I mean, he can ball out. He has 16,000 career rushing yards, which I believe is like 5th or 6th on the all-time rushing list, so that's huge. But Duke Johnson, Lamar Miller, they're bringing them in for a visit. Doesn't mean they necessarily signed him, but I'd assume that they're going to sign somebody. Todd Gurley's still on the market. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe they're just trying to stay under that cap space. I believe they had to convert some cap to give them more cap. Or I guess they had to convert some cap money or whatever from other players' salaries so that it gives them more money to perhaps go sign some of these running backs like a Duke Johnson, like a Lamar Miller, maybe a Todd Gurley, but I doubt it because I think Todd Gurley wants way too much, cha-ching than he is worth, and it is what it is. But I think the best way you can look at it is running backs are very easily replaceable. Okay, I mean they come in a dime a dozen. Right, you can go pick one up on the street somewhere, and he can do the same exact thing that these other running backs can do. It's just they always come, they always go. It's something that you're always going to see. Okay, there's going to be a really good running back, and then one year he's not going to be good anymore. Okay, and you can bring in a new guy, and they're interchangeable. They're super replaceable. You're seeing a lot of teams now go with a 1-2 punch, a very solid 1-2 punch like the Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Minnesota Vikings, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison. You're looking at the Saints last year with Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. I mean, a 2-back scenario it is just the best way to go because you get 2 really good guys. You don't have to play them as much. They get less reps, which means less chance of getting injured. You can keep them on the roster longer. Sign them to less money deals and stuff like that. So the 49ers really need to bring in some running backs. They need to sign them, and they need to do it fast before this Week 3 game against the the Green Bay Packers, because the Green Bay Packers have had a hard time stopping the run and the pass game. So if 49ers don't get this answered, I think they're going to have a really tough outing, okay? Especially at their home stadium in a primetime game. It's going to be rough, I think. But Jimmy Garoppolo should be able to connect really well with George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, who finally caught a pass week 2, thank God, and other ones like that. So that'll be interesting to see where the 49ers decide to go in what direction they go in, I guess. I'd bring in Frank Gore just because he's been there and done that. He's already been a 49er in his career. I think that's a very solid veteran running back that is going to be able to teach these younger guys really how to play the game, what to do, how to be professional and stuff like that. But like I said, we'll see where this 49ers situation decides to go and turn out going forward. So lastly, let's talk about the Buccaneers. This team, 2-0, looking really solid. Brady's balling out. Gronk's balling out. Mike Evans is balling out. Chris Godwin's balling out. Leonard Fournette's balling out. Tom Brady's balling out. I already said that, but this defense is balling out. Vita Vea's balling out. It's just, these guys are good. Okay? They returned all 22 starters from last year's team offensively and defensively. So right then and there, that's an expectation of these guys should still, continue their greatness, continue on that path of, good fortune. Well, they've suffered some, I think they have an injury at corner. Okay, a couple people aren't really, playing up to par as of late as well. So the Buccaneers have said, fuck it. Picked up the old phone, decided to give old Richard Sherman a call. Said, hey, you remember when you tried breaking that door when you were super, super hammered? Yeah, we're gonna need that over here. Like, we're gonna need you in the building, like, real quick. All right, sounds good. Basically is what they did. They seen that video of him just going nuts, trying to break in that door, and was like, we need to fucking sign that guy. Like, that's a guy we need on our team. Bruce Arians like, fuck it, let's bring him in here. We didn't play good enough last game. Let's get Richard Sherman. It's not a done deal. They're just talking, trying to see, work things out. If he's in the right price range, I'm sure. Like a report I seen, I think Bruce Arians said something like, hey, if everything's well and all goes well and stuff like that, and he's available, he's cheaper than what we can, or if he's affordable or whatever, hey, we'll go get him. Okay, so that's something to look into. Okay, that's something to look forward to. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but it would be nice to see Richard Sherman come back in the NFL. Revamp his, illustrious career that's already happened when he was with the Seattle Seahawks, then the 49ers, and now he's had some issues, some off-field issues, but that happens to everybody. It's just when you're a professional athlete or celebrity, it's going to get, blown up tremendously just because of who you are and what you do. So this is big news. Buccaneers going forward, they might need Richard Sherman. Okay, they have a tougher schedule. Not a tough schedule. They have sort of an easier schedule. They do have to play the Saints twice, but who knows what they're really capable of, winning in a blowout game against Green Bay and then not winning in a blowout game, or actually getting blown out, I should say. And so you don't really know what they're going to give or have. Got Carolina, who's on a 2-0 win streak right now, haven't really played the greatest teams as of late. They played, the Jets, and they played the Broncos. Or not the Broncos. They played the, was it Texans? No. Might have been the Texans. I can't remember. That was week 1. But you get what I'm saying. So, but I think their 2 hardest games are at the Rams this week and then versus the Bills. Okay, week 14. Those are their 2 toughest games. I think Richard Sherman would be a very, very solid addition to help with the onslaught from those 2 teams. Probably is not going to happen this week, obviously. I think it's getting a little too close. Even though we are at Tuesday, you're not going to necessarily go out there and sign somebody Monday right off the bat. You might, and it's been done, obviously, but it's something to look forward to, or something to look at in the near future, forward to. So Richard Sherman talking with the Bucks talking with Richard Sherman. We'll kind of see where that story, or how that story develops here in the future. Well, that is all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Continue to do so. Continue sharing it. Subscribe if you are on YouTube. If not, go do so. It would be much appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always. And you just got your fix with the Wicks. Thank you guys, and have a great one.